Writing with Style with Dr. Parikh and Lenore Szuchman. So chapter 11, preparing a presentation. Szuchman does a great job of talking about poster sessions. I may change my mind as I go through, but for now I'm actually not going to have you do a poster because they tend to be kind of expensive to print. You can print them at Staples for like $4 or $6 or something cheap if you know what to ask for. But it does create a little bit of a barrier. So for now, I'm not having students make posters. I'm going to have students do PowerPoint presentations, which she talks about as an oral presentation on page 110. So when I submit for conferences, sometimes I'll submit to do a poster presentation. Other times I will submit to do an oral presentation. So you see both kinds of presentations in professional environments. She gives a lot of good tips about creating good slides. If you have ever heard a PowerPoint presentation, you know there are good ones and there are not so good ones. And so we'll work on skills to create better ones. Page 111, she talks about the content, what actually goes on your slides. And she gives great advice. Never put complete sentences on your slides, and you will not be tempted to read the slides. It's much better to put keywords or phrases often with a citation that helps the audience follow what you're saying. But you don't want to distract the audience from what you're telling them. You don't want the slides to, you don't want them reading the slides and not listening to you. A few paragraphs down, she says, tables and graphs are very welcome, but do not read the numbers, discuss the trends. Again, use anything you put up to help you make your points. Don't use them to make your points or just repeat the same points. Page 111, she talks about how to avoid distracting formatting on your slides. And I agree with some of the things, but other things I directly disagree with. So images that are decorative rather than explanatory, I don't necessarily agree with that because I think that it can help warm up and humanize your slide. I think of TED Talks a lot when I think of the best slides. Those are some of the best slideshows, especially the real TED Talks. The TEDx ones have a bigger range of quality because they're more local, whereas the TED is typically people who have worked really, really, really hard and are known for being a very strong presenter before they get started. So I'm okay with some images that are decorative. However, you don't want to clutter your slide with them. So I would say one image that's decorative is usually enough, and you don't need to have an image for every slide. But going down, like she talks about small fonts, one of my rules of thumb are that fonts should be readable from a handout. So if you print a handout to have either 3 slides with notes or 6 slides going across, you should still be able to read all the font. If you can't read it in that format, it's getting too small and too cluttered. Another guideline I've heard is to do 6 by 6, so no more than 6 bullets and no more than 6 words per bullet. You do need to include citations, but often people will make the citations a smaller font to make it a little less distracting. You can also, I'm open to you including all the citations sort of elsewhere at the bottom of the screen, but you need to cite an item on the same screen where it appears. She talks about color contrast. Be inclusive when you create your slide because people with vision problems, including people who have issues with color blindness, but also all adults as we age have more difficulty seeing certain colors, especially telling blues and purples and reds apart because our corneas get more and more yellow over time. Or a lens, or I forget which piece right now, but the eye gets less white and more yellow, and that makes it harder to see certain colors. So things that you see easily, someone else might not. And in general, with background, with color, with font, simple tends, crisp, clean, simple tends to have the best impact. And that's what I have for you. Thanks. Bye-bye.